It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a new podcast to gag to. Hi, and welcome to the Coffee Rhetoric podcast. I'm Tiffani, creator and writer of the blog Coffee Rhetoric. And it's finally September. Actually, September's almost over, but it's finally September. The official day of fall is merely just like days away, even though it's still been annoyingly hot, but still it's right around the corner. um you know uh Places have already started hawking the pumpkin spice stuff, gag, yuck, and Dollar Tree has all of their Halloween decor out. So I'm ready. I'm so ready. I'm just done with hot weather. This weather, the changing weather, it's been wet, it's been humid. It doesn't know if it wants to, summer doesn't know if it wants to leave. So it's been doing a number on my upper respiratory situation. And, I've been in no condition to really be talking on a podcast. And plus, I've just been busy, but I'm so glad to be back. I'm glad that autumn, the official day of autumn, is just a couple days away. And I think I'm going to go ahead. Actually, I've already gone ahead and broken out my Halloween wine glasses. I don't care if it's not officially October yet. I broke those Johns out. I've been using my Halloween glasses. Anyway, let's get it in because there's been quite a bit of fuckery afoot in the news for the past couple weeks or so. And one thing people have been and are still talking about is this whole stuff that popped off between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj at New York Fashion Week. Man, what a mess. And there's still stuff spilling over about this situation. Well, not about this situation per se, but the situation has definitely prompted a lot of other things to kind of spill over and pop off. People are coming out of the woodworks with Cardi B tea. You know what? Let me just get on with my thoughts. So, for those of you who don't know and who probably have more exciting things to do than follow pop culture, but do you really? What can be more exciting than gagging and gossiping over celebrity news and whatnot? But in any event, so Cardi B, for those of you who don't know or just don't follow celebrity news, Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, like I said, reportedly, more or less, they brought some hateration and holleration to Harper Bazaar's Icon party during New York Fashion Week after tensions of their purported, I say purported because, they both say that, they don't have any issues with each other, but clearly, there's been some tension between the two, and it boiled over at Harper Bazaar's Icon party at New York Fashion Week, to the point of an altercation. And I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to say it was a one-sided altercation. The video surfaced showing Cardi B lunging at Nicki Minaj and throwing one of her pricey Ealy Saab heels at Nicki or in Nicki's direction. And she ripped her even pricier Dolce & Gabbana gown, which was undoubtedly a loaner, just like the shoes were probably loaners, before Cardi B was detained and escorted from the party with a visibly huge knot on her forehead. Oh my word. And video also surfaced of Nicki Minaj leaving the party, hamming it up for the camera, seemingly unbothered. And so then Cardi, after the incident popped off and she was escorted from the party, ripping them folks' gowns and with a giant knot on her head, Cardi B very promptly got on her Instagram page and posted a lengthy note, which was probably written by her inadequate publicist, trying to rationalize basically why she acted out at a hoity-toity party. She was rambling about Nicki trying to, quote-unquote, mess up her bag. Really, like, how old are we? But in any event, she claims Nicki was trying to stop her bag and that she allegedly either said or liked something about Cardi B's parenting skills, and we've yet to see proof of that claim, and so forth and so on. Lord. But in any event, people have chosen their sides and they've picked their teams. Me personally, I don't have a dog in this fight. Rap beefs are nothing new. And this shit is not nearly as compelling as the Roxanne Wars of the 1980s, okay? And I just think this situation extends well beyond a rap beef. I wouldn't even call it a rap beef. Rap beefs usually play out on wax. People cut lyrics over a dope beat, and just go in and let half at each other via their music. Firstly, and also we all know, whether you're a male rapper or you're a female rapper, this isn't even about that. This is not about black people acting out of the white. It's not about any of that stuff. We know that when situations in the hip hop community and rap community spill over beyond just mere rap beefs, we all know what can happen. Look at what happened. Rap beefs has taken some of our greatest rappers. You see what happened with Tupac and Biggie, and we know what can happen. These things can go way left and people can just kind of lose their lives. So I don't really have a dog in this particular fight. I just think it's gotten beyond the point of just a simple beef. I just think it's ridiculous. I still don't know why Cardi B threw her shoe or what they're supposedly angry with each other about. And firstly, let me just say, I personally do not adhere to respectability politics. I don't perform for the white gaze. So my opinion about Cardi B's display, it isn't rooted in this idea that Cardi B, quote unquote, made black people look bad in front of white people. My opinion is not even rooted in that BS. But it's going to come from the place of a woman that's a certain age and that has the foresight to look at this situation objectively, I think, and just kind of surmise that it was ridiculous, that, like I said before, that it can get really dangerous really fast. And look, again, I'm not about to go on some rant about respectability and the optics of the situation and about black women cutting up in front of white people, because let's not act like during their heyday, Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan didn't cut the fool in public places during the height of their feud in the early aughts, okay? Or that Shannon Doherty wasn't constantly trying to fight folks at events in the 90s. And just recently, didn't Tom Arnold and Mark Burnett get into a scuffle at some kind of Emmy gathering or party? They fought at some Emmy party, and it resulted in the police being called, and Tom Arnold said Mark Burnett choked him or something. So no, my opinion has nothing to do about how this looked in front of a bunch of rich white people, because rich white people can get crunk in public places too. I've seen it with my own eyes. So it's not rooted in any of that. So let me just get that disclaimer right on out the way. I really don't live under the restrictions of or believe in black people performing for the white gaze, nor am I someone who cares what any of them think, because let's be real, them white folks at that Harper's Bazaar party were probably eating this shit up. And because in the video I saw, a lot of people had their little cell phones at the ready, recording, tweeting, and Instagramming the bullshit. So that out of the way. Now, one thing I can't get behind, now I've seen a lot of grown people co-signing Cardi B's behavior and ascribing to what she did to being a quote-unquote hood thing. And these are people that would not risk losing their jobs, their day jobs, or whether they have a job in the industry. These are people who probably feel this way because they want to live vicariously through the situation. But people who are co-signing Cardi B's behavior at that party wouldn't even dare fight on site at their jobs. And let's keep it real. These little industry parties, it's part of their job. That is their job. They show up in their fancy gowns that the designers loan to them, and that luxury shoe brands loan to them. They show up in their clothes to be seen in these people's clothes, so that those people can get free promo. This is their job. Showing up at events like that, this is part of celebrities and entertainers' jobs, okay? And people co-signing Cardi B's behavior wouldn't dream of fighting and throwing shoes at their jobs, or at if their job were having some event, wouldn't act out like people. You have people who barely want to freaking go to human resources about a situation because they don't want to rock the boat. But these are some of the same people co-signing Cardi B's behavior, talking about, oh, well, she keeping it real and it's a hood thing. Didn't you watch the Dave Chappelle skits on his show about when keeping it real goes wrong? Give me a break. So, I just think to co-sign her behavior, it's short-sighted and it's stupid, because if it were truly about hood things, then Cardi would still be there in the hood instead of living her best life in a big house somewhere in Atlanta. So let's keep it real. It's not a hood thing, because she's not even in the hood anymore. And no one with sense works to overcome adversity and poverty and courts the level of fame and fortune Cardi B has done, only to stay mired in hood shit. Let's be real. Cardi B being young is also an excuse that I've seen, and that doesn't really fly, because she's still a grown adult who is in her mid-20s. She's got a husband. She's got an infant child. 25 to 26 sounds like a great age to finally get your well-being in order and your shit together. Give me a break. At some point, you gotta take accountability for your grown adult behavior when you start acting foolish. Okay, I mean, her being 25, 26 is no excuse. And I'm gonna need people to also stop trying to conflate this with Serena Williams' situation at the U.S. Open with the umpire. Yes, I've seen people trying to conflate the two situations. Apples and oranges, not the same. I just really feel like there are ways to advocate and stand up for yourself without wallowing in the muck and mire and making yourself look foolish. There are ways to express anger and frustration, and Black women, more than anybody, are entitled to express anger and frustration. But why do it in a way that puts your life and your livelihood in harm's way? I think Black women I don't even know if Cardi B identifies as Black. I don't care. I'm not getting into that argument. But let me just say, there are ways for Black women, or women who are Black adjacent, I'll say, to advocate for yourself without putting your life at risk or putting yourself in harm's way. And I just really feel like when you've acquired the type of fame and fortune Cardi B has managed to gain, you move differently. You see what I'm saying? You should aspire. And if you don't, you should aspire to move differently, because you don't need to literally fight to survive, because there's no need to get into physical altercations anymore. You're not in the streets. You're not trying to, you've overcome your adversity. You don't need to be fighting like a wild alley cat anymore to survive. You can afford to employ different tools. So why not choose differently? Now, when you can afford to, when you've learned better and you've been paid better, why not choose differently and do better? When you get the kind of money and fame Cardi B has gotten, particularly when you've grown up like she has, you have to learn how to be more tactical in how you deal with conflict, especially in the entertainment industry. You got to be more tactical. And let's keep it real. Nicki Minaj, who's also problematic as hell, is a veteran. She's the veteran of the two. She's in her mid 30s. Yes, she may be doing underhanded behind the scenes foolishness to sabotage her peers and others' livelihoods, but the big picture, she's not the one caught on video throwing shoes, trying to fight, and being kicked out of an A-list industry party with a large knot on her forehead. And yes, Nicki has done some foolish things on social media. You know, I'm still shaking my head at the fact that she went in this young woman writer's Twitter DMs trying to curse her out over some BS. And when she was put on blast, she very quickly didn't want to talk about the situation anymore. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about this New York Fashion Week Harper's Bazaar party. You know, Nicki is definitely not an innocent victim. She's very problematic. But again, in this particular situation that I'm discussing, she's not the one on film being escorted out of the party with the knot. She's not the one with a ripped dress with her ass hanging out. And that is what it is. Cardi B is the one shown doing that. And since I'm on the topic, Nicki Minaj is not the one that's been witnessed throwing drinks at women bartenders at strip clubs. And now Nicki Minaj, you know, she got what she wanted. So now Nicki Minaj has already hopped on her radio show, and this time she took flagrant shots at Cardi B, and she used the situation to redirect the narrative. And she said a lot. Listen to this snippet.
The other night, I was a part of something so mortifying and so humiliating to go through in front of a bunch of upper echelon, and it's not about white or black. It's about upper echelon people who are, you know, people who have their lives together. The way they passed by looking at this disgusting commotion, I will never forget. I was mortified. I was in Alexander Vautier gown, okay, off the motherfucking runway. Okay, and I could not believe how humiliated it all felt, because we, and I use we loosely, and I'm gonna clarify how we made ourselves look. And I'm gonna get back, but before I go, I want to say that I would never discuss anyone's child. And it's so sad that for someone to pin that on me because I'm the bad guy and they know people would believe them. So let me just go on record having said I would never talk about anyone's child or parenting. I don't care about anyone's parenting. I don't give a shit. And it's so crazy to me that people always need to make Onika the bad guy. If you're right in whatever you're doing, you don't ever have to make someone into the bad guy. Just speak your truth. When you have to say that I said or did something that you know I've never said or did,
I didn't see it. Where was that?
No
Where did
clue.
it come from?
No clue. I have no clue. I just want to let the world know that Onika Tanya Mirage would never, has never, and will never speak ill of anyone's child. I am not a clown. That's clown shit. And the other thing that's clown shit is telling the world that someone said something just so that you don't feel fucking dumb for looking dumb, for doing dumb shit. You knew that when that footage came out, you was about to look fucking dumb. So your publicist, who also looked dumb, standing there about to tape, thinking somebody's about to get snuffed or something with the phone camera out.
That's not what you be doing.
Okay, so they hurried up and put out a statement, and you know what? I'm such an ill-ass bitch. I didn't even feel the need to defend myself that night and say, I didn't say this, I didn't do this, I didn't stop no bags. Give me a break. But I'm gonna get it.
I didn't understand, how did bags stop?
I'm gonna get in. It's a bunch of lies, but I'm gonna get into it. I just want everybody to marinate for 2 minutes. I'm finna come. But we did hear this woman who accused me of saying something about her child just say that nothing's off limits, even talking about people's kids. Because she has built her career off of sympathy and payola. Play Barbie dreams, let's go. Let's go!
Wow. So you see, Cardi B essentially played herself, and she played right into Nicki's hand. And I mean, Cardi B couldn't go on tour with Bruno Mars because didn't she say she wanted to take time to acclimate herself to motherhood? So how is any of this behavior she's been displaying productive? It's toxic. It's gross. She and Nicki Minaj to me, are 6 of one and half dozen of the other, because they've both displayed toxic online behavior. On and offline behavior. They've both lashed out at people, and Cardi B has also spoken ill of other people's children. She's done so admittedly. She said nobody's off limits, including children. So I don't understand what the issue is about her thinking someone allegedly liked a status about her parenting skills or said something about her child. Grow up and worry about yourselves. Now, excuse me. Now, Nicki Minaj, she comes across as jaded and uninspired in her long career, and Cardi B comes across as not being able to deal with fame in a productive way that suits her and that benefits her and her brand, her growing brand. Because then she's still going at it. She's still online, arguing in people's Instagram comment section. She's still arguing with people. She just got caught posting a transphobic meme on her Facebook page, and then she went to, oh, well, that's not me. That's a former member of my team, this, that, and the third. It doesn't matter. You're the face of the Facebook page. It's got a blue check. That is your official Facebook page. It doesn't matter if you haven't been on there in months and that it's a former person. Like, who are your people who are supposed to stay on top of all this stuff, like to make sure your social media presence and whatnot is up to par? It doesn't matter. It's still your Facebook account with your face, with the official Cardi B Facebook page blue check. Let's get it together. But she's still arguing in people's comment sections and about rumors and what have you. Both women register as being insecure to me. And I just really feel like they need to surround themselves with a better social circle, and with more level-headed and rational people than the clout chasing, enabling, instigating parasites with nothing to lose, or who may be trying to promote their own brand and businesses. Cardi B's publicist. But in any event, especially Cardi B, maybe get a new publicist who's more seasoned in the game. I just feel like the veneer on the quirky, genuinely open and street tough young woman the world has come to know, it's dulled. It's gotten old. And I just feel like, and then all these people, all these friends Cardi B surrounds herself with, who she encourages to fight her battles, or who have no qualms about fighting people for her. You got to ask yourself, if I'm friends with someone who suddenly acquired fame and got rich and acquired fortune, if a friend of mine made good, whether, I don't care if they became rich and famous, I don't care if they hit the lottery, whatever. If a friend of mine from my old neighborhood overcame adversity and poverty, but they still want me to be fighting and risking going to jail for them, you got to question whether that's really your friend. Because when your genuine friends do well, they're going to want you to do well too. They're not going to be encouraging you to fight bartenders at strip clubs and to throw drinks at people and to get online arguing back and forth with people. F that. No friend who really wants well for you, because especially when they've done well for themselves, wants you to continue being mired in that toxic behavior. That's not your friend. I don't care what none of these people who hang out with Cardi B trying to get spillover perks from their famous friend. That's not your friend. Your friend is not going to want you to risk your life for them while they get to go back to their mansion and whatnot. No, that might not be your friend. And since we're on the topic, in 2017, I remember Angie Martinez interviewed Cardi B and asked her why she can't learn how to, resolve conflict in a more constructive way. And here is what she said at the time.
I'm not you. Here's the thing. I'm not used to people coming for me and me not getting it popping. Like I'm not used to that. Like it's just like I'm not used to it. That's not something that I'm used to.
I understand. But
I wouldn't even know what to do because it's like, right? I don't want to write. I want to fight.
You can't fight, Cardi. You can't do that. We've elevated now. You're in vogue, for crying out loud.
Fine then. My friend will fight for me.
No, you can't do that. And you know what happens too, Cardi?
What?
Once you start getting bread.
But I'm not touching nobody. My friend is.
I was gonna say, because when you start getting
my
real
friend
bread,
is.
people
My friend
want...
got no money. Yeah.
You can't keep fighting. When does the fighting stop? The fighting gotta stop.
I've been putting my gloves up. I've been put them up.
I just saw the reunion.
I put them up a month ago.
I just saw the reunion, Cardi. What happened there?
That was a month ago, baby.
A month ago. So since then,
I'm a different woman, baby.
Oh, since then, 30 days? What do you do? A detox? Like a fight detox? What did you do?
I got a epiphany.
What was that?
It's like, like everybody just keep telling me, like, it's like, sometimes it's so hard to believe the level that I am sometimes because I still do not the regular things. I just feel like a regular person.
You don't feel changed. You still like the same person.
Yeah, I still like the same person, but people just keep telling me, like, listen, you're not, like, you're
on TV.
You're more than that.
Yeah.
You're more than that.
Okay, so you heard from her. She said she would get her friends to fight for her. I just feel like that is just terrible. It's like, you've done well for yourself. Don't you want your friends to overcome their circumstances in the hood too? I don't get it. Are you really their friend, Cardi B? But in any event, I don't think Cardi B is finished. I don't think her career is finished. Not yet. I feel like she can go as far as she wants to, but people don't want this kind of smoke at their gatherings. Designers don't want their expensive fabrics destroyed over some dumb shit. Fighting, throwing shoes, and lunging at people ain't the wave. It's just not. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you grew up, whether you grew up in the gutter or whether you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth. It just ain't the wave. It's toxic. Learn how to duke it out on a mixtape or song like other rappers at odds with each other, and engage in some self-care. You've earned it. Self-care. And stop allowing yourself to be baited into stupid altercations with people. Particularly with someone who's been in the business longer, who's far more calculating and manipulative than you've learned to be at this point in your career, Cardi. I mean, I just feel like it's one thing to be street smart, but this is not the Bronx anymore. Lead with this on-site mentality, and you'll get chewed up, you'll get spit out in a completely different way, because the entertainment industry is full of vipers and cultures, and they live to build up their own versions of Cinderella and to knock them down off the pedestal. So I just feel like she needs to grow a thicker skin, get better people and a better team around her, and learn how to be shrewd about navigating the bullshit, and just give us the music, please. Log off. Stop arguing with people on Instagram. It's just, if it's not beneath you, it should be. And I get it. We're all human. We all get angry. I know I do. But when you come of age, when you learn better, when you learn how to move through the world more tactically, more shrewdly, more deliberately, you learn how to be more deliberate in how you navigate through the world, you do better. That's just how I feel. It's, why would you want to stay mired in toxic energy, especially when you ain't got to, especially when you got money now? You don't have to do that. And you don't have to encourage your friends to continue to be mired in toxicity either. So, again, just give us the damn music, please, and just leave all the rest. On that note, let's take a short little break, and we'll be right back.
The double agent for the patriarchy is basically just a woman who perhaps unknowingly is still putting the patriarchal narrative out into the world, is still benefiting off, profiting off, and selling a patriarchal narrative to other women. But it's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Just because you look like a woman, we trust you and we think you're on our side, but you are selling us something that really doesn't make us feel good. You're selling us an ideal, a body shape, a problem with our wrinkles, a problem with aging, a problem with gravity, a problem with any kind of body fat. You're selling us self-consciousness. The same poison that made you clearly develop some sort of body dysmorphia or facial dysmorphia, you are now pouring back into the world. You're like recycling hatred. And I find that really dangerous, and I think it's unacceptable, and I don't care if you're a woman. I think constructive criticism is needed for anyone to ever evolve. For our gender to evolve, we need some sort of constructive criticism, as long as we do it in a somewhat careful way. Sticky off the ground.
Double agents of the patriarchy. That little clip was that was an interview with actress Jamila Jamil, talking about women who've internalized a lot of patriarchal claptrap hogwash, and women who are nefarious agents of misogyny and other patriarchal bullshit. I really like that. But now, let's talk about Aretha's funeral, shall we? Some weeks have passed, and the world saw Aretha Franklin get a homegoing fit for a queen. It was an all-day affair that reportedly lasted for about 8 hours. I saw clips. I did not sit for 8 hours to watch it. But I checked in from time to time, and I just saw clips here and there. But Aretha Franklin's funeral was attended by a lot of political dignitaries, by a lot of notable musicians and pop stars and other celebrities, and by noted religious leaders. There was a lot of reflection. There was music. There were fun anecdotes, and laughter, and just things to give people food for thought as they celebrated Aretha Franklin's life and impact. But a couple of things marred what was otherwise a memorable and celebratory remembrance of Aretha's life and work. And of course, the damper came from 2 black pastors. At this point, folks probably think I have some kind of vendetta against the black church or against black pastors. And I don't, but I do. Okay, I'm not even just black churches and black pastors. Just the whole institution of Christianity and just organized religions in general, you know? So yeah, don't, but I do. I might. So, but in any event, in my first episode, I spoke about some of these black pastors not standing for anything or anybody but themselves, and how out of touch and self-aggrandizing and skeezy and just downright predatory a lot of them are. Because they are. And, don't come for me saying, oh, well, it's not just black churches, it's that and the third. I know that. But I'm a black person talking about a black ass situation that was perpetrated by two black pastors. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So I know it's not just black churches and black pastors. I know that. But believe me, I know that. But and a lot of them are. So I just feel like a lot of them stay trying to preach their own agendas. A lot of them are stuck in a time warp. It's indicative of how little some of them, especially these prosperity preachers, actually interact with, or how little they respect the community or stay on the pulse of social issues and statistical information and facts, lest it debunks the false narratives a lot of them like to peddle. Why keep abreast of any of that stuff when you're trying to peddle something, sell people some rotten meat, And, a lot of them offer little to no value to their congregations. They don't. Or to not enter, intra, I-N-T-R-A, intra-racial conversations about improving the quality of life for black people. All black people, not just black men, not just cis, hetero, sexual men and women, but all people, all black people, all of us. And just that I just felt like the entire front row of her funeral, it just looked like a reunion of aging, problematic, middle-aged fuckboys. It did, but I digress. Okay, because you had like Bill Clinton and Jesse Jackson and Louis Farrakhan, but whatever. I digress. But first, you had Bishop Charles H. Ellis III inappropriately liken pop singer Ariana Grande's name. He likened her name to a Taco Bell menu item. To a Taco Bell menu item. And then to add insult to injury during his cringeworthy banter, I don't know, he kept an uncomfortable grip on her. It just looked so cringy. He was just like digging his fingers into the side of her breast, and she looked uncomfortable. It looked uncomfortable. And the entire exchange was just, ugh. It was uncomfortable. Now, people spent a great deal of time critiquing what Ariana was wearing, what she wore to Aretha's funeral, saying that her dress was too short and all. Look, I'm not going to waste time talking about what she should or should not have been wearing, because for me, it's irrelevant, particularly since Grande doesn't really strike me as a young woman familiar with black church protocol or the respectability expected of women in that environment. She just doesn't. Now, I don't know if she has any black or older people on her style team, but perhaps they could have briefed her on how to dress and proceed accordingly. I don't really know. I just feel like if you must critique Ariana's funeral attire, okay, that's your business. To me, it's irrelevant. It's inconsequential. But can you just please don't derail from the fact that a lot of these religious institutions are and sometimes aggressively sexist. And they do sexually harass women, the leaders in these churches. And please don't derail from the fact that Bishop Charles Ellis is inappropriate and his behavior, please don't insinuate that Ariana deserved to be aggressively groped into a hug on a stage at a funeral because of how she was dressed. You know, she didn't deserve to be put in that uncomfortable situation. At what point do we hold men, especially men in positions of power and prestige, accountable for their behavior, or hold them accountable for picking up on women's social cues? Because I feel like you can literally be kind of, I forget the word for it, but just kind of shrinking away from a man and they still won't pick up on those cues. Women's levels of comfort while in their presence, levels of discomfort or comfort, because I truly believe a lot of men may notice, but they don't really give a shit about women's discomfort, no matter how glaring and tense our body language is. And I'm saying this from my own personal experiences too, that it does, like, men, even if they do know, I don't think they care, because all they care about is their own comfort and wants and desires. And so I don't think they give a shit. And no matter how glaring and tense our body language is, I feel like they care about their own gratification and comfort. And I feel like this is why young women, especially young black women raised and involved in the black church, don't come forward when they've been sexually assaulted, sexually harassed, or abused or intimidated in some way, shape, or form. Now, you think Ariana was put in an extremely awkward and discomforting situation. Try being a young black woman, or just any kind of try being a black woman in that same kind of uncompromising situation, than having the people who should support you and who should be your support system castigate and blame you for it. Now, Ellis apologized for the Taco Bell comment and for aggressively taking Ariana Grande into a handsy hug. And the last time I checked, his Twitter account was locked to ward off the heat he was getting for his behavior. Isn't that what they all do? Lock their Twitter accounts. But men, you need to learn how to be more mindful of how a woman is responding to you being in her space. Stop forcing unwanted contact and hugs on women unless you've been invited to or encouraged to do so, or unless a woman's body is receptive to receiving physical contact from you. Okay? It's that simple. I don't care what the F a woman is wearing. God. Anyway, even more egregious and out of order at Aretha Franklin's funeral was Reverend Jasper Williams Jr. Now, this man was supposed to be eulogizing the Queen, but he decided to abuse the honor and stand his old out of touch ass up there using much of his 40-minute sermon. Like, he chose to use his 40-minute sermon to castigate and pathologize other black people, using a bunch of Fox News talking points, excoriating single black mothers. Mind you, Aretha Franklin was a single mother herself, okay? And he criticized activists who protest police brutality and state violence. He was just spewing a bunch of toxic church rhetoric, Fox News talking points, and spouting off a bunch of erroneous data. Listen to this clip.
Where's your soul, black man? As I look in your house, there are no fathers in the home no more. 70% of our households are led by our precious black women. But as proud, beautiful, and fine as our black women are, one thing a black woman cannot do, a black woman cannot raise a black boy to be a man. If you choose to ask me today, do black lives matter? Black lives do not matter. Black lives will not matter. Black lives should not matter. Black lives must not matter until black people start respecting black lives and stop killing ourselves. Black lives can never matter.
Okay, so that was some of what he said. You know what? It was just a bunch of self-loathing coon cricketry at its worst. And I just feel like it was presented at the most inopportune moment. Not that there's ever an opportune moment to indulge in anti-blackness on a public stage. But anyway, Aretha's family denounced Williams' eulogy, saying that they found it offensive and distasteful, and they felt like he used the platform to push a negative agenda. Who booked him, though? Let's see, who booked him? I don't know. But of course, Jasper Williams doubled down, claiming people simply didn't understand his garbage talking points, because that's why homophobic, misogynist, self-loathing, that is what people of his ilk do. Homophobic, misogynist, self-loathing patriarchs. That is what they do. They double down. But it's clear to me that he's the one who doesn't quite understand how structural inequality and things like toxic masculinity and oppression work. Jasper Williams, you're the one that don't understand. And of course, as they are wont to do, numerous white people chimed in about how true Williams's garbage was, because you know why? Because they love self-loathing black person, and they love to insert themselves in conversations that don't have shit to do with them. It kind of does, but it don't at the same time. And I just feel like a lot of them are intellectually dishonest whenever they chime in on shit like this. They'll be quick to say, oh, well, he's telling the truth, and about black people and this, that, and the third, and you know how they do. They're their own worst enemies. Black on black crime. But let's keep it real. They love chiming in on that kind of stuff, but you won't ever hear them unpacking the insidiousness of institutional whiteness, structural inequality, things like resource hoarding, or white sociopathy. Let's go. All tea, all shade. You won't ever hear none of them unpacking any of that shit. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. It's a jagged little pill. They won't look in the mirror and unpack white sociopathy and structural inequality and the insidiousness of whiteness. Ever. They love pathologizing other communities, but they won't look at the ways that racism and systemic racism works. And they just won't. Because then suddenly they start crying about, oh, well, you're being divisive and talking about racism where not all white people. That's just one isolated incident. This, that, or third person was mentally ill when he or she did that. But they'll surely chime in on bullshit like what the Pastor Williams said, and start crowing about black on black crime. Okay, but in any event, whatever. So I just feel like Reverend Williams could have kept that recycle in class's pound cake speech to himself. Bill Cosby's hypocritical ass already tried it with that one, and he proved to be just another hypocrite and a horrible human being, and now his reputation is destroyed. So we don't need another pound cake speech, Reverend Williams. He also said that Reverend Williams said that Black America has lost its soul, but he's a donkey, and I feel like he's the one who seems to have lost his. And again, I see why more and more Black folks are divesting from the institution of the Black church, and why millennials and women and, just other young people just want no parts of it. Okay, so before I sign off, let me rap quickly about this whole U.S. Open situation that transpired with Serena Williams, and the things that have unfolded after. I just really feel like Serena Williams, she's an unambiguously Black woman, and she's one of the world's greatest athletes. And along with her sister, she and her sister Venus, they've redefined the sport of tennis. And I just think most people still don't think she belongs tennis. And I just feel like that's one of the primary reasons why she's been at the receiving end of just the misogynoir and the unfair treatment and the ridicule and the jokes and the gagging and the just all the nasty disrespect she's been getting since 2002. So a white male umpire who seems content with upholding the status quo accused her of cheating and getting coaching from her coach while she in the middle of the game. And I've been reading comments around social media, and people thinking she should have just accepted the on-court slight quietly, and that she just should learn how to be, quote unquote, be a better role model. Because being accused of, you should take having your character assassinated and being accused of something you didn't do, you should just take it quietly and graciously with a smile, apparently. The display, I just feel like it not only marred Serena's experience on the court, but it also marred Naomi Osaka, the young Blasian woman she was playing. She's half Haitian and half Japanese. It marred her experience and win too. But I don't think Serena was the one who did that. Ladies and gents, welcome to navigating this cruel, dark world as a Black woman. Because we're expected to accept misogynoir and racially motivated slights to our livelihoods, and we're expected to accept sabotage and assassinations on our character with grace and with a smile. And I also speak from personal experience. That's what they expect you to do. Because outward frustration and openly advocating for ourselves as Black women is a no-no for us. Otherwise, we're going to come off as angry and intimidating. We show anger. We push back against sexism and misogynoir. And, we have white women like Martina Navratilova writing these patronizing op-eds about how Serena should learn how to conduct herself on the court. But okay, where were all these think pieces and essays when John McEnroe and Andy Roddick and Andre Agassi were throwing tantrums and having meltdowns during matches? Should they have been better role models? Did they get fined thousands of dollars? I just feel like white women love gaslighting Black women who emote in any kind of way or who express anger, notwithstanding the fact that, and I'm just going to say this, I don't care how it sounds, but a lot of white women love gaslighting Black women and calling us angry, notwithstanding the fact that a clear majority of them will have a whole entire meltdown and a temper tantrum in the line at your favorite retailer. And it's true. When they don't get the discount, they feel like they're entitled to, or if their pumpkin spice latte isn't piping hot, they will have a whole entire meltdown in the line of Starbucks or Old Navy or wherever else, at Apple, getting angry in the Apple store. But black women need to learn how to conduct ourselves and be better role models in our angry. Then, to add insult to injury, Australia's Herald Sun, along with their trash heap political cartoonist, Mark Knight, who, the last time I checked, he deactivated or locked his social media accounts to avoid accountability. I guess he didn't want any more smoke. The heat was just too much for him. He brought the heat, but he couldn't take the heat. Because he produced a racist cartoon depicting Serena Williams in a very unflattering light. He drew her in a way that, he in the Herald Sun doubled down on the caricature and even reprinted it on the paper's front page. But the drawing, it harkened back to those anti-black, those Jim Crow era caricatures that were drawn of black people. And then on top of that, he erased Naomi Osaka's blackness altogether. He depicted her as a white woman in the cartoon. And make no mistake about it, this isn't the first time media platforms have depicted Serena in such a racist and unfavorable light. And then, once again, in Australia, these folks were portraying her and her sister in blackface. It's just a mess. But then they'll turn around and say, it's not racist. And then I just really feel like people can't stand Serena because she is a black woman, a very visibly black woman who happens to be one of the world's greatest athletes. And she's been dominating, and she helped change the face of the sport. She helped change the face of a sport that's not basketball or football, and that's typically for white people with means to play. And I just really feel like there's no country for black women who dare to step out of our place, our so-called place, or whatever lane people try to force us in. And I feel like there's no country for black women who dare to be smart, who dare to be opinionated, and who are forces to be reckoned with. And there's no country or solidarity for black women who advocate for ourselves when our integrity and our reputations are at stake, and it's all jokes and shits and giggles until black women clap back. And then the white male tears start overflowing, or the white women's tears start overflowing, or yes, even the black male tears start overflowing. Because black women are supposed to take abuse and hate with a smile, and folks are ready to literally just make black women, like literally make us pay a price. They want to start forming unions and having emergency meetings and shit just to further undermine black women's credibility in our humanity, in our careers. And I'm tired. We're all just so tired. On that note, thank you for listening to the Coffee Rhetoric podcast. If you like what you've heard in this episode, be sure to read some of my work over at www.coffeerhetoric.com. If you'd like to support the Coffee Rhetoric blog and or the podcast, please consider becoming a patron on patreon.com/Coffee Rhetoric. And, I'll shout you out on forthcoming podcasts for being a supporter. You can now access Coffee Rhetoric podcast on, brace yourselves, Anchor, SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, and Breaker, among other places. So go on ahead and share this episode. Tell a friend, tell your plug so they can stay out of trouble, tell your shoe-throwing, gown-ripping arch nemesis. Share, and help me conquer the world. Until next time.